If I was to talk about the research of Bruce Kirchhoff, I'd be singing to the choir, speaking to the ICSB, and based on my singing voice, I'm going to avoid that and discuss a few little points about Bruce from a non-research perspective. Bruce, as you know, was very dedicated to the field of small business and technological entrepreneurship, being a former president of the ICSB and deeply involved with not only entrepreneurship but entrepreneurship and small business from an international standpoint. What many in the research field don't realize is the sort of contributions that Bruce made to the practice as well. Bruce Kirchhoff was the chief economist for the Small Business Administration under Jimmy Carter, and also worked in the Reagan administration on small business related activities. As the chief economist of the Small Business Administration, he was instrumental in the introduction of both the SBIR and STTR programs. And the SBIR and the STTR programs have been perhaps the most influential programs in assisting small business in the United States, and are looked to around the world as an example of successful small business policy. What people, even fewer people, will probably realize in this group is the tremendous value Bruce provided outside of the field of technological entrepreneurship. For those of us who were close to Bruce, our admiration, of course, is for his research, but more for him as a result of his tremendous humanity and a great friendship and the type of examples that he would set for other people. Bruce not only had a large family, but through his warmth and kindness and his habit to take colleagues, and the colleagues to transform into friends, and friends to become part of an extended family, he was blessed with a large extended family as well. Bruce was the sort of academic and colleague who would remove his name from a paper to help a student or junior professor, or who would add the name of a student to a conference paper to allow them to attend an important conference. Bruce always had his door open for colleagues, for students, and for anyone else who felt he could be of help. And it was not only for questions on technological entrepreneurship and small business that he was available for. He was available for a wide range of topics, including career counseling, Byzantine academic politics, the difficulty of publishing, about government policy, about other activities too, such as home renovations, gardening, automobiles, and aviation. Bruce showed how a humble man who unselfishly contributed his time and attention to assisting other people grow as academics and people, that in the long run created a great deal more than he would have if he had focused on himself, by setting an example for people and encouraging people to do the same, resulting in greater growth and greater contributions by people who took up his challenge. I'd like to share one last little comment to you about Bruce, and that is a little story. When I asked Bruce about becoming the chief economist for the Small Business Administration, his explanation was a typical a humble Bruce Kirchhoff type anecdote. He indicated to me that it was offered to somebody at Harvard and they turned it down. The position was then offered to somebody at Stanford that they turned it down, and Bruce was all that was left. And typical of Bruce, he did not build himself up. He, if anything, put himself down. Now, if Bruce hadn't been in that position, and Bruce hadn't done the sort of work that he has been doing, if we had not had the benefit of Bruce Kirchhoff, it's quite possible that we still may be under the mistaken impression that economic growth is the result of large firms, not that the growth in the economy is the contribution by small firms, as Bruce Kirchhoff identified by pointing out the relatively straightforward little problem that we couldn't see the growth of small business because nobody was measuring it. And true to Bruce's habit and personality, always very, very careful, meticulous in his work, and always very, very low-key. One thing that I would like to leave you with is that if Bruce is looking down on you right now, he'd be very, very happy to see special attention being given to him at the ICSB. The last conference that Bruce discussed going to with me was his desire to be at the ICSB conference with all of you, as he considered this conference and this community to be truly his home as an academic. Thank you very much, and enjoy your conference. Take care.